Saad Kamali. Saad Kamali, a prolific writer of short stories and essays, was born in Faridpur on August 20, 1962. Apart from fiction, he is widely acclaimed in Bangla for his research articles on Rabindranath. Saad Kamali wrote and published near 40 books. Let Me Be. As the empty train rolls away, the passengers in the narrow tunnel are once again engulfed in complete darkness. Some try to ignore the situation by listening to music and chewing gum, but most of them are dejected. Why is there a mechanical snag again in the underground train? What is the matter really? This has been happening at least twice every week now, especially on the northbound trains. When there is such a problem, passengers are disembarked on the platform to wait for the next train. But during rush hour, the next train will not be empty. So it cannot take in all the passengers of another train. In that case, there is not much to be done except to wait on the platform for the next train. Today Roxana is a bit worried. She has purchased some sushi for Jibran from the hospital cafeteria. He loves them. She wants to get home before he goes out at 6 so that she can sit next to her brother and feed him herself. If sushi is not eaten fresh, the taste deteriorates. This is, of course, Jibran's observation. Roxana personally has no preference for sushi. As a resident doctor of a hospital, Roxana does not have any specific working hours. Each week is different. There are only a few days when she can get off by 5. If it gets too late, she does not bother to go home. Instead, she goes with Jamal after letting them know at home. Today, even Jamal got off at 5 and wanted to accompany her. Roxana did not agree. Today she wants to go by herself. She has spent a few days preparing a speech and wants to deliver it to Jibran. She would speak from the point of view of medical science as well as about her parents and family, but she would emphasize the health aspect. Jamal does not know yet, in fact, nobody does. She guessed this from several incidents. She was also worried about Jibran's reaction. And a mechanical problem here to boot. Everyone waiting for the subway was exasperated and there was despair written all over their tired faces. Yet no one spoke up about such mismanagement. Most of them had their iPods or headphones stuck inside their ears, listening to their preferred music. Those who had nothing in their ears and wanted to get home early leaned forward, looking into the tunnel to try and make out the light of a train. Though the frequency of trains during rush hour is pretty high, today, Roxana felt, the trains were much delayed. After getting off the train, she stood at the edge of the platform so she could board the next train as soon as the doors opened. She was not going to miss the next train. But around the bend of the tunnel there was only darkness and no trace of a train. A couple stood next to Roxana, arms around each other's waist even on this crowded platform. Looking at them, Roxana feels a bit sad for Jamal. Today, having got off early, he had wanted to go downtown with her, but that was not to be. He was not allowed to come home either and she did not turn to look back at him. Now that there was no objection from the family about Jamal, they could spend a lot of time with each other. In fact, they spent the whole day together. Once in a while, when she goes home, she has to take him with her. Today she is going to spend the evening with her brother. How big he had grown so quickly. It seemed just the other day when she used to wake him up in the morning, get him dressed, pack his bag and lunch, and then take him to school before she went to hers. Today he was a grown man. It amazes her that she would have to talk to her little brother about such a serious topic. Today Jibran's sister would be talking to him in 2 roles, one as a doctor and the other as an older sister. She would be talking from her position as the responsible eldest child of their parents. Roxana would say whatever she has to no matter how Jibran reacted. Even if he got irritated, she would try to say whatever she had to. Wouldn't he understand? Couldn't he change and retrace his steps? No one but he could change his nature and desires. In fact, no one should even try to change him. Did Roxana's eyebrows furrow a bit with those thoughts? Some questions did arise in those dark brows. Why does he have to change? Why does Jibran have to change? Why can't I be myself, as long as I do not hurt others? Why am I getting so agitated with this anxiety and apprehension? Amidst the hordes of people on the platform, she felt disgruntled. Oh dear. What was she doing? It would have been better if she had been able to share her thoughts with Jamal. However, from the beginning, Roxana had figured out that Jamal was not liberal enough to accept everything. Though he was not traditional, Roxana could estimate his breaking point. Baba and Ma were the same too, if not more. For the first time, she wonders why she should think of others. What was her own view? Could she accept everything? Wasn't all this anxiety a result of her own limitations? Roxana sighs long and deep. Would the logical and ethical standard of balance be one for others and a different one for her? Roxana sighs deeply again. She looks at the end of the narrow tunnel and sees a light. The train was coming. Readjusting the bags on her shoulder and hand, she gets ready to board as she thinks, my uneasiness with my parents and relatives is also true. Won't they be anxious for a simple and normal life for my dear little brother, my only brother? There was no question of getting a seat, and she would be fortunate if she could get hold of a rod to stand comfortably. Roxana leans against the door. It is about a 20 to 25-minute ride from Queens, northwards to Shepherd's, quite a few stations away. Standing during the ride is not a problem, but the train is a bit too crowded. There is this tall young man standing in front of Roxana, so close that his back is touching her chest. Even in this congestion, the youth is holding a book. Roxana has an uncanny liking for anyone with books. The boy is not touching her on purpose. After all, where was the space to distance oneself? And anyway, when one is reading a book, such unintended incidents are bound to happen. There is no count of the number of times she herself missed her station. She looks up at the boy to see what he is reading, the poems of Constantine Cavafy, poet. You are no liar, the world that you imagine is the real one. Not a single poem of this poet's was published during his lifetime, but soon after his death, he became famous. And now, even after 100 years, people all over the world still read Cavafy. There is one class of readers who reads Cavafy believing him to be one of their own. Roxana's 12th grade English teacher, Ben Levitaire's favorite poet was also Cavafy. There had been a lot of curiosity regarding Ben at that time. Remembering Ben, Roxana tries to have a better look at the face of the boy standing before her. Lots of hair on his head, long sideburns, beard unshaved for a couple of days perhaps, a little disheveled. What can one really understand from all this? Even if Cavafy is his favorite poet, could one say he looked like Levitaire? Roxana is confused. She tries to take a closer look, but she fails as his eyes are practically glued to the book. However, in her particular mental state, Roxana is intrigued to find Cavafy and this boy so placed. Though it is certainly coincidental, it appears to be highly symbolic. On any other day perhaps, she would not have noticed at all. Reaching home at 6:20, Roxana finds Gibran and his friend Maurice watching a football game in the living room. Both were wearing t-shirts and shorts, Maurice's hand resting on Gibran's bare thigh. Today everything seems to be coming to her notice. Gibran looks at his sister once and then gets excited at the New York Jets quarterback's run-up. Maurice looks up at her and says, "Hello." Roxana says in Bengali, "I got sushi for you guys. Come and have them." To Maurice, she says in English, "Of course, you must like sushi too." Today there is something else behind this apparently innocent question. The existence of the other element goes unnoticed by Maurice and Gibran, but not by Roxana. Baba has not yet returned and Ma is busy with her walk-in closet. On seeing Roxana, she says, "Give me a hand, dear. It's so messy here that I have to search for everything I need." Roxana laughs, "I'll be right there, Ma." Changing into her t-shirt and pajamas, she comes over to help her mother. Ma says, "Fold the saris and put them on the hanger with the blouses." Sizing up the heap of saris, Roxana inquires, "When did Maurice come?" Ma says, "Oh. Is he here? I didn't know." "What is it you do know, Ma?" "Okay, listen, go and give them some snacks. There is good ice cream in the big refrigerator. You can also give them some chips. I have made sauce." Roxana picks up a sari. "Don't worry, I brought sushi. It will be enough for both of them." "Still," Ma pleads, "give them the ice cream. Jibu will not take anything by himself." "Ma, he can certainly take the things he chooses, he doesn't wait for you all." Ma does not argue further. There is no need to for such a trivial matter. Roxana knows she must have said something. Today, everything she says seems to be hinting at something else. On returning from work, Baba sits with his daughter. He generally takes 2 to 3 pegs of scotch every day. Roxana brings in a bowl of tortilla chips with some sauce that Ma made and settles down. When Baba eyes the chips, Roxana says, "No, you can't have them. They are bad for you, Baba. They have high sodium and MSG to enhance the taste." Ma, from the other side, quips, "He who drinks every day cannot be harmed even by snake venom, leave alone MSG." Baba jokes, "Then this liquor must have some great qualities for even snake venom to fail before it." Roxana licks the sauce from her fingers and says, "But, Baba, your body can't take it. Keep your medical practice to yourself." "How is Jamal? Why didn't he come?" Ma says, "Why? Is seeing your daughter not enough?" Roxana quickly butts in as if she has just remembered, "Maurice is here." "Who?" Baba could not understand the connection between Jamal and Maurice. Perhaps Roxana had wanted to imply that even though the daughter's boyfriend had not come, the son's boyfriend, Maurice, did. It is almost 11 at night when Roxana hangs up the phone with Jamal and enters Gibran's room. "Maurice, are you staying the night or shall I drop you off?" Both Gibran and Maurice know that Roxana is actually asking Maurice to leave. Gibran says, "You are very kind, API, but his father will come to pick him up around midnight." Roxana sits on Gibran's bed, her legs hanging over the edge. She seems to be in the mood for a chat. "Maurice, have you read Maurice by Foster, E.M. Foster?" Maurice shrugs and says, "Tried. Very outdated. Nothing amused me." Roxana must have been hurt by Maurice's words. She wonders whether Maurice thinks she is ancient. You can get the flavor of a classic only from the language. For that time, the subject was also quite bold. Maurice says, "Maybe, but did you know that there have been more important works on homosexuality earlier?" Maurice enlightens Roxana. Taking the cue, Roxana says, "Do you prefer that kind of literature, Maurice?" "Not sure. You'll see that it's very difficult to write about homosexuality because it often turns into porn. Or doubt, fear, and moral values don't let the writing see the light of day. Foster had that problem. He did not allow Maurice to be published at all. It was published after his death." "Wow. You seem to know quite a lot." Gibran chips in enthusiastically. "Maurice is a writer and you'll find a lot of his works online." Roxana smiles. "Is that so? What name do you write by?" There is a strange smile on Maurice's face. His eyes set on Roxana. He says, "Maurice Hall." Roxana perhaps does not get it. "Is your last name Hall?" Maurice smiles as he shakes his head and lowers it, saying nothing else. Even though Maurice did not like the novel, he has chosen to use the name Maurice Hall as his pen name. Perhaps he wants to identify himself through this name. The doctor's sister does not understand the entire situation and, at one point, goes back to her room. Gibran shuts the door. Roxana feels strange. Maurice's smile had pierced her like pellets of freezing rain. Her face and skin burned from the sharp points of the ice drops. Why did he smile when he said Maurice Hall? She opens her computer and types Maurice, E.M. Foster on Google search. "Whoever I am, I am." Roxana does not know why she mutters to herself like this. Instantly, she finds a small discussion on the novel and countless links. She did not have to open any link. From the discussion, she finds that the name of the protagonist of Foster's novel was Maurice Hall! Now the meaning of Maurice's smile becomes clear. She has the day off tomorrow. Jamal will come in the evening to pick her up. Their plan is to go for a movie and not return. They had not decided what movie to watch, but usually Jamal picks one. Roxana searches the internet for the movies showing at the Bell Lightbox, the Toronto Film Festival's own new theater, and decides to see Kubrick's Space Odyssey shot on 70mm film. She has not seen any movie shot in this way. She could also show Jamal that even she knew which films were showing in the theater. In addition, they would have a dinner of chicken wings, beer, salad, and chicken at the Gabby restaurant right opposite the Bell Lightbox. Having decided this, she emails Jamal. Roxana now feels relieved. Maurice had secretly thought she was primitive and foolish. She has forgotten Maurice's subtle insult. She turns off her computer. It is 15 minutes past midnight. Taking off her t-shirt and pajamas, she wraps the dressing gown around herself. While making her way to the bathroom, she stops by Gibran's door. Blue light from the computer screen glowed from under the door. There was no sound. Roxana quietly places her hand on the doorknob and leans forward to hear what is going on inside, and the door opens slightly. Maurice and Gibran are watching something on the monitor, not reading. That is why the light is moving. The monitor is nearly hidden by both of their bodies so she cannot see the screen. Roxana notices that both of them are bare-bodied. What? Did you have to take off your t-shirts? At that moment Maurice shifts and picks up the cell phone to receive a call. He says, "Okay," and hangs up. The two of them stand up instantly and Roxana is shocked to see that they have no shorts on either. Two naked young men. What were they watching together? She rushes back to her room, her heart thumping. She slumps on the bed and restively tries to recall the introductory line of Maurice that she had read in the discussion on Google. She repeats to herself, as soon as his body developed he became obscene. She covers her face with both her hands. She is trembling. She repeats the day's preparations to herself like a promise, "I will try at least once. I will try everything to bring Gibran back." Maurice leaves. Gibran does not leave his room to see Maurice to the door. After a while, Roxana stands in front of the mirror and removes the gown, turning this way and that to have a good look at herself. She applies a light coat of lipstick and brushes her face with powder. Removing the rubber band from her hair, she brushes and fluffs her hair. Then, standing before the mirror, she takes 2 deep breaths. Gibran's door is still partly open. The computer has been turned off. Gibran lies flat on his bed, bare-chested, thinking of something. Roxana, wrapping the gown around herself, steps into the room. She tries to speak in a soft and calm voice. "What's the matter? Can't you sleep?" Her voice trembles slightly. No words or smile come to Gibran's face. He just stares at his sister. Roxana sits next to him and asks, "Shall I give you a massage like when you were a child? It will help you sleep. Or do you want to listen to stories of the dinosaurs?" Now there is a slight smile on Gibran's lips. "Why? Can't you sleep?" "No. You have grown up so much, Gibran. Seems like just the other day. Are you sad? Did Jamal Baya not come?" "I'm scared, you know." "Scared?" "Yes. For you." "What are you saying?" "It's true. I can't figure out what to do." Gibran is quiet. The faint smile has vanished too. "Will you help me, Gibran?" Gibran looks at Roxana, trying to understand. "Not help actually, but a promise. Will you promise me something?" Gibran does not ask for an explanation. Roxana moves forward and touches his cheek. He started shaving not too long ago so his skin is not rough and hard. But Roxana can feel that his body is very hot. Stroking his cheek affectionately, Roxana says, "Give me your word that you will listen to me." "What is it?" "Tell me that you will never hurt Abba and Amma. They should never be hurt by anything you do, brother. Is there anything else you'd like to say, API?" Roxana lowers her head and stares at her fingernails. Suddenly tears threaten to brim over into her eyes and voice. An emptiness fills her heart. She cannot understand why she is suddenly overcome by emotion and anxiety. As a doctor and an elder sister, she has been preparing for this talk for so long. And now nothing comes to mind or to her lips. She had so much to say, not only about their parents but their friends, relatives, and, of course, the health issues. She chokes on her tears and no meaningful words emerge. Gibran looks closely at his sister and then he hugs her. He is silent too. There is a manly smell on Gibran and, in his hug is the touch of a responsible grown-up man. Wiping her tears with the back of her hand, Roxana says, "You have grown up too much it seems." Suddenly, Roxana remembers changing Gibran's diapers, his potty training, holding his hand and taking him to elementary school, packing his lunch and school bag. Ma worked and she was ill too. So the little Roxana had to do it all. In fact, the 10 or 12-year-old Roxana had volunteered to do all the work around the house. Little Gibran was like an adorable toy to her. Setting aside her dolls, she used to play with Gibran. After completing her homework, she became Gibran's caregiver and everything else. As he finished middle school, Gibran's voice started to crack. Pimples began to appear on his face as a sign of puberty. Since Roxana aspired to be a doctor, she opted for physiology as one of her subjects. As she observed Gibran growing up into adolescence, she studied the different physical and mental phases out of interest. So Gibran's growing up occurred right in front of her. Roxana had seen nothing extraordinary in this normal growing up. Nothing else had ever come to mind either. Now, as Roxana rests her head on his lap and talks of his growing up, she perhaps has no clue what this growing up would be like. He is not even 18, and yet already so much of a man. His chest is so broad that Roxana get lost in it like a little girl. Gibran pacifies his sister as if she were a little child. Go to bed, and you will feel better. Roxana drags her nails down his chest and says, You will not meet Maurice anymore. What business do you have with him? It's too much. Gibran detaches himself from his sister and lies back flat on the bed. Roxana leans towards him and says, Please don't mind, brother, but he is a nerd. Don't bring him to the house. There is a hint of imposition and distress, perhaps even jealousy, in Roxana's voice. Yes, it must be jealousy. Some Caucasian emerges out of nowhere and wants to sweep away her baby doll. Roxana steadies herself and calms her mind. She looks deeply into Gibran's eyes and says, You are such a handsome, attractive young man, don't you like any girl? You could have a girl as a friend, or aren't you attracted to some beautiful girl your age? Gibran smiles, You have lost it, sis. Roxana taps Gibran's chest lightly, Listen to me, brother. Look at the whole of nature. Not only do all living beings have a he, she, him, her, plants do too. It is nature's design for a he and a she to feel attracted to each other. That is the law of nature. That is how nature survives. Gibran puts both his hands under his head. He understands what Roxana is trying to say, but he does not feel like arguing. In spite of this, he says heavily, Nature is a lot more than that, API. There are many other dimensions and laws. Everything is not the same, there are exceptions. My dear, don't you think I know that? Your life has not yet begun, and you are only now developing your orientation. Please think of us and control yourself. Your orientation, think about it. A crease appears between Gibran's brows, irritation in his eyes. Stopping Roxana, he says, API, please go to your room. Roxana flares up. It is not easy to suppress the obsession and anxiety that has led her here. Can one draft a law or rule and control another's orientation or nature's whims? Rather, it is more dangerous. You are my only brother. Only you can control your mind. Gibran almost screams, What do I have to control? Why do I have to, API? API stops suddenly. In a calm voice, she says, Why should my only brother be gay? People will call him a fag. Why can't you have a beautiful girlfriend? What is this nonsense? Please go to your room. Why? What are you? What is your sexual identity? Am I wrong? I don't know. You are attracted to Maurice's body, but you are not attracted to any girl. API, please go. I really don't know what I am. You are a young man of 18. Do you ever think of a woman's body? You have posters and posters of men in your closet, bathroom, Facebook. Why isn't there a single picture of a beautiful girl anywhere around you? So what? I want my brother to have a beautiful bride. I will love her so much. API, you think being gay is a choice? Does anyone choose their sexuality? Are you straight by choice? No. It's certainly not anyone's choice, it's a quirk of nature, but still. Roxana stops, and staring at Gibran, she smiles in a way that is incomprehensible to him. He is annoyed. Roxana practically whispers, Want to see a gorgeous female body? Will you try once and see if you like it or not? Having said that, she swiftly takes off her dressing gown. Completely naked, she forces herself on Jibran. Have you ever felt a touch like this? Hold my breasts and see. Jibran shuts his eyes. Roxana kisses his closed eyes, then covers his lips in a French kiss. Her kisses travel down his body, and she opens the buttons of his shorts to caress him with her fingers. See how gorgeous a woman can be. Feel the pleasure. Jamal is nowhere near as handsome as you. Jibran's healthy new masculinity begins to stiffen. It becomes dangerously hard. Gleefully, Roxana seems to say, look how ready your body is for a woman's touch. Roxana again kisses his lips and smothers him with her wet kisses all over, as if her body too was feeling the same excitement. Just at that moment, Jibran pushes her off his bed and shouts, "Get lost from my room, you bitch." Even after falling off, Roxana is not hurt. Her voice quivers with emotion. "See, my brother, you can still do it." Jibran jumps off the bed and rushes into the bathroom. As he slams the door, he says, "I hate your moral sodomy. Whatever I am. Just let me be, okay?" Translated by Pernaze Renag and edited by Arifa Rahman.